If you're living in the United States, and every month when rent is due, it feels like you're throwing stones into an empty bag, then this video is for you. That feeling of working your whole life yet still paying for a roof you will never own. That feeling of opening your electric bill, your water bill, your insurance bill, and knowing another piece of your life is about to disappear. Because in America today, $50,000 is no longer a number that opens doors. It buys nothing more than an old used car, an invisible debt, or at best a worn-out mobile home sitting in a place where even a strong wind can make you worry. But here's what most Americans never hear. In some corners of the world, that same $51,000 has a completely different power. There, $50,000 is a real key. A key that opens a real brick home with red tiles and wooden doors. A garden where you can plant mango trees, apple trees, or simply sit and listen to the wind. A life where mornings start with sunlight instead of overdue notices, and nights end without you wondering whether you'll still have enough to survive next month. In these places, $50,000 doesn't just buy property. It buys a new chapter of life, one where the rhythm is slower, the air is cleaner, the people are kinder, and the bills no longer control your emotions. And in this video, we'll explore 5 countries where that quiet miracle is still possible. 5 places where with one small decision and one airplane ticket, you can rewrite the rest of your life into something lighter, calmer, and more human. Because one of these 5 countries might be the place where you finally open the door to your second life. A door you once thought you could never reach. Now let's begin the journey slowly, deeply, and long enough for you to feel that life can truly be different. 1. Romania, where $50,000 still buys a storybook. Home. When you first set foot in Romania, truly set foot. Not just pass through an airport, you feel something shift inside you. Especially in Transylvania, where mornings arrive with a soft silver mist that drifts between rooftops like a quiet spirit. The old towns here look as if someone pressed pause on time 100 years ago. You walk through Sibiu Brașov or Sighișoara and see stone houses leaning slightly from age medieval clock towers rising above red-tiled roofs and narrow streets where every footstep echoes like a memory. Somewhere on a distant hill, a church bell rings deep, gentle, steady, reminding you of a kind of life America forgot long ago. And it's in these very towns that $42,000 to $50,000 still buys a home that feels lifted from a painting. Not a cramped apartment, not a renovated storage unit, a real home, 2 stories of thick brick walls, red clay roof tiles curved from decades of sun, and wooden windows that still creak softly when you open them. Most of these houses come with 700 to 1,200 square meters of garden, enough land for plum trees, apple trees, or rows of grapevines that glow gold in the afternoon light. Step inside, and the first thing you smell is the old wood-burning stove still faintly scented with smoke and history. It's the kind of scent that makes you pause without meaning to, because it reminds you of warmth of seasons of home. And the most surprising part isn't the house, it's the cost of living that comes after. Here, $800 to $1,000 a month is enough to live comfortably without juggling bills or sacrificing quality of life. A good meal out costs $6 to $8. A strong European-style coffee is $1. High-speed internet is $10 to $15, though some rural zones still have slower lines. Private healthcare is modern and affordable. A consultation ranges from $20 to $40, and in these historic towns, you meet more English-speaking doctors than you'd expect. Safety is something you feel instantly. Children playing freely in the streets. People leaving bicycles unlocked in front of bakeries. Night walks without looking over your shoulder. For Americans wanting to stay long-term, the process is clear. A residence permit is possible with proof of savings or income, and owning a home doesn't guarantee approval, but it strengthens your credibility in a way that truly matters. And then comes the moment every expat has one that shifts a place from interesting to mine. For Margaret, a 63-year-old retiree from Oregon, that moment happened on her second week in Brasov. She told us, "For the first time in 30 years, I lit a wood-burning fireplace and felt like I was living a real life again. Not a rushed life, not an expensive life. A real life." Of course, Romania isn't perfect. Winters in Transylvania can be cold, sharp, and long. Some mountain villages still struggle with weak internet, especially after heavy snow. But these are small imperfections in a place that feels honest, unpolished, and deeply human. What Romania offers is something that doesn't show up in the property, listing a return to slowness, beauty, and a life measured in moments rather than payments. If that speaks to you, if these old roofs, quiet streets, and gentle mornings feel like a place your heart could rest, comment, "I choose Romania." 2. Malaysia. Borneo, $50,000 for a tropical garden. Home. When you arrive in Borneo, the first thing that greets you isn't a skyline or a line of taxis, it's the air. Thick with the scent of fresh rain, wet leaves, and the deep green breath of the rainforest, the morning feels almost alive. Birds call to one another across the canopy. Monkeys leap through branches overhead. The humidity settles softly on your skin like a warm natural blanket. And the people, gentle, warm, and soft-spoken, with English far better than most foreigners expect. They smile in a way that feels unhurried, as if time itself moves slower here. It's within this calm tropical world that $40,000 to $50,000 still buys something. Americans rarely find anymore a real home. In Sabah and Sarawak, that amount gives you a solid 2 to 3 bedroom house with a wide yard where mango, banana, and papaya trees grow without needing much care. The soil here is so rich it feels alive. Many of these homes sit just 15 to 20 minutes from the sea, close enough for you to drive there after dinner, just to listen to the waves break against the shore. And once you settle in, the next surprise arrives quietly. The cost of simply existing becomes lighter than you imagined. With $700 to $900 a month, you can live comfortably. Eating out costs $2 to $4 for a full meal. Noodles, curry, fresh vegetables. A cup of iced Malaysian coffee is $1. Seafood is so affordable, you buy it by the kilo. A kilogram of prawns here costs the same as a single shrimp dish in the US. Healthcare is another shock, not because it's simple, but because it's modern. Private hospitals like Gleneagles and KPJ look like US medical centers, except a private consultation costs only $15 to $25. Many doctors trained abroad, many speak fluent English, and the entire system feels clean, efficient, and honest. For those wanting to stay long-term, Malaysia offers something rare in Asia, an accessible, transparent residency path. The MMHDM program allows foreigners with stable income or savings to stay for years, and Americans, thanks to predictable retirement income, are often viewed as strong, low-risk applicants. But Borneo isn't defined by its paperwork or its affordability. Its meaning comes from the way it makes you feel. For Henry, a 68-year-old retiree from Florida, that feeling arrived on his third morning in Kota Kinabalu. Watching the sunrise over the water, he realized his life had changed. "I traded car horns for ocean waves," he said, "and I've never regretted that decision for a single day." His words capture everything: the noise he escaped, the peace he found, and the simple truth that life doesn't have to hurt to feel real. Of course, Borneo has its imperfections. Rain often comes suddenly and heavily. Some rural areas remain wild and raw with limited amenities. Roads in certain villages still feel like they belong to another decade. But for many people, these aren't flaws. They're reminders that life can still be natural, unedited, and sincere. In Borneo, $50,000 doesn't buy luxury. It buys space, greenery, silence, and the kind of freedom that comes when you stop racing against your own life. And if that rhythm, the rain, the fruit trees, the sea breeze calls out to you, then maybe it's time to say, I choose Malaysia. 3. Uruguay. $50,000 for a small home plus land to live slowly again. The first feeling Uruguay gives you is space wide open, endless space. As you travel beyond Montevideo, the world seems to stretch into fields of grazing cattle that disappear into the horizon. There are no crowds, no noise, no rush. Only sky grass and a silence that feels soft rather than empty. In the late afternoon, the wind blows in from the Atlantic cool and clean, carrying with it a kind of calm you don't realize you've been missing until it hits your face. The people here reflect that same calm. Uruguayans are known for being polite, reserved, and genuinely kind, never loud, never intrusive, simply steady and respectful in a way that makes you feel safe. Out in the rural areas around Montevideo, $35,000 to $50,000 buys more than a home. It buys breathing room. For $50,000, you can own a modest but solid house plus 1 to 2 acres of land, a piece of earth that is fully, legally yours. No land lease, no tricks, no hidden clauses, just real ownership in a country that treats property with seriousness and transparency. Some homes come with simple brick walls, red tile roofs, and backyards wide enough to plant your own orchard or raise a few animals if you choose. Daily life is surprisingly affordable. Living here comfortably costs $900 to $1,100 a month, including food utilities and the occasional dinner out. Steak in Uruguay is not just delicious, it's famous. You can buy premium cuts for a fraction of US prices. And wine. A bottle costs 1/3 of what you'd pay in America, yet tastes like something from a boutique vineyard. It's the kind of lifestyle where you stop checking your bank balance before buying groceries and start enjoying small pleasures again. Healthcare is another advantage. Uruguay's Sistema Mutualista, a hybrid membership-style healthcare system, costs $60 to $80 a month, giving you access to private clinics that feel more European than South American. Quiet halls, clean rooms, respectful doctors, and modern diagnostics, all for less than the cost of a single American copay. Residency is surprisingly straightforward. Uruguay is one of the few countries where the process is clear, transparent, and not designed to trap you in paperwork. Demonstrating stable income is usually enough, and owning property, especially a home plus land, significantly strengthens your case when applying for long-term residency. It's one of the rare places where the government actually makes you feel welcome, not inspected. For Rick, a 61-year-old from Colorado, the moment he knew Uruguay was home came one quiet evening. Standing on his small plot of land, listening to nothing but wind moving through the grass, he said, "Here I remembered something I had forgotten." For decades, silence is its own kind of healing. Uruguay isn't perfect. Rural towns can be slow, almost too slow if you need nightlife or constant activity. Public transport in remote areas isn't great. This is not a place for people who crave big cities or fast-paced energy. But for anyone tired of noise crowds and pressure, anyone who wants land, peace, and offers something rare, a life where slowness is not a limitation, but a gift. 4. Mexico mountain regions and Pueblo towns, $50,000 for a home. Beautiful enough to look like a postcard. The first thing Mexico gives you, at least. The Mexico hidden in its mountain towns is a sense of color and breadth. As you approach the highlands, the landscape shifts into rolling green hills under a sky so clear it feels almost painted. The air is dry, crisp, and surprisingly cool, carrying the scent of pine trees mixed with faint traces of wood smoke. Then, suddenly, like a scene opening in a film, you enter a pueblo, red-tiled roofs glowing under the sun, narrow stone streets curving between pastel houses, and the soft echo of a guitar drifting from someone's open window. Somewhere nearby, you catch the warm smell of fresh corn tortillas being grilled, the kind of scent that makes even strangers feel at home. It's in this Mexico quiet, elevated, deeply cultural, where $40,000 to $50,000 still buys a home that looks like a page torn from a postcard. In towns like Guanajuato, Morelia, or rural Puebla, that amount gives you a two-story colonial-style house with an inner courtyard framed by old wooden beams and sunlight falling across the tiled floor. The exterior walls are often limestone or adobe, thick enough to stay cool even in warm seasons. The windows have ironwork from decades past, handcrafted and slightly uneven in the most charming way. These are not houses built quickly. They are houses built with care, weight, and time. And daily life here, surprisingly gentle on your wallet. With $700 to $900 a month, you can live without stress. A taco freshly made on the street costs $1. A strong Mexican coffee is $1 to $2. Internet is fast, electricity and water inexpensive, and local markets sell vegetables so fresh you can still smell the morning dew on them. The rhythm of life is slower, neighbors greet you. Shopkeepers remember your name, and evenings often end with the sound of music drifting down the street. Healthcare is another relief. Private consultations cost $20, $35, and in major cities like Mexico City or Guadalajara. Hospitals rival U.S. facilities in quality, but not in price. Many doctors are bilingual, and medical tourism has made English-speaking care even more common. For long-term living, Mexico offers a clear path, a 4-year residency based on proof of income or savings. And owning property, especially a colonial-style home in a stable town, adds quiet credibility to your application, often making the process smoother than many expect. For Linda, a 57-year-old woman from Arizona, Mexico, didn't become home because of numbers. It became home because of light. She said, "I bought a yellow house that faces the afternoon sun. Every day feels like a scene from a movie." It's a simple sentence, but it captures something essential. The softness, the warmth, the cinematic beauty found in these mountain pueblos. Beauty that doesn't demand wealth, only presence. Of course, Mexico has its imperfections. Some neighborhoods should be avoided late at night, and learning basic Spanish is close to essential if you want to integrate, communicate, and feel truly at ease. But those who give Mexico patience and respect often find a richness of life that no brochure can describe. In these hill towns where colors are brighter, music is everywhere, and life moves at a forgiving pace, $50,000 doesn't buy luxury. It buys soul. If the red roofs, stone streets, and golden afternoon light speak to you, perhaps your story belongs here next. 5. Georgia. Caucasus, $50,000 for a home, surrounded by mountains and quiet. The first thing Georgia gives you is a view you never forget. As the sun rises over the Caucasus, the mountains appear white and immense, their snowy peaks glowing like they're lit from within. Below them stretch vine-filled valleys, winding rivers shining like silver ribbons, and villages tucked gently into the folds of the hills. The air here is crisp, clean, and almost sweet, the kind of air that makes you breathe deeper without realizing it. And the people, they greet strangers with warmth that feels almost surprising. Georgians are famously generous, soft-hearted, and proud of their land in a way that's infectious. Here, $35,000 to $50,000 still buys a home that feels like a retreat from the world. In the outskirts of Tbilisi, or in the wine region of Telavi, that amount gives you a solid house with 1,000 square meters of garden, where grapevines twist along wooden trellises catching the afternoon sun. Some homes overlook the hills. Some stand near small rivers. All of them share the same quiet atmosphere, the kind that slows your heartbeat the moment you arrive. And because the air is so fresh and the climate mild outside of winter, you find yourself opening the windows often, just to let the breeze wander through your rooms. Life here is also surprisingly affordable. With $600 to $900 a month, you can live comfortably, even indulgently. Eating out costs $5 to $7 for large plates of khinkali, grilled meats, soups, and fresh bread. And Georgia's wine, one of the oldest winemaking traditions on earth, costs $3 to $5 per bottle, making it feel less like a luxury and more like a daily pleasure. Utilities are modest. Internet is fast and local markets sell vegetables, herbs, and cheeses so fresh they barely need seasoning. Healthcare is straightforward and inexpensive. A private consultation costs $20 to $40, and because medical tourism has grown quickly here, you'll find many doctors speak excellent English. Clinics in Tbilisi are modern, clean, and efficient, a shock for many visitors who expect something more rustic. Georgia is also welcoming to foreigners. Americans receive 1 year of visa-free stay, and applying for long-term residency is simple, especially if you own property. A home purchase isn't a requirement, but it adds strong credibility to your application and shows local authorities that you're committed to the community. For Robert, a 60-year-old retiree from Seattle, Georgia, became home the moment he saw the morning light hit the mountains outside his window. He told us, "I opened my window and saw the white peaks. That was the moment I knew this is where I want to finish the most beautiful part of my life." It wasn't money that convinced him. It was peace. It was silence. It was the feeling of waking up to something bigger than stress. Georgia isn't perfect. Winters in the mountains can be cold, and rural infrastructure is still developing. Roads can be narrow, and some villages feel a decade behind. But for many people, that's part of the charm: simplicity, without chaos, nature, without noise, and tradition, without rush. Here in the Caucasus, $50,000 doesn't buy luxury, it buys perspective, space, and a kind of quiet you can't put a price on. If the snowy mountains, green valleys, and soft Georgian hospitality speak to your heart, this might be where your next chapter begins. In America today, $50,000 only buys pressure. An old used car that might survive a few more years. A small debt that greets you at the end of every month. Or a worn-down mobile home where every storm feels like a threat to everything you own. But somewhere else in the world, that exact same $50,000 unlocks things America quietly took away from many people. A real roof over your head where you close the door without fearing another bill waiting outside. A real garden where every morning smells like damp earth and new life. And most importantly, a chapter of life no longer chased by invoices. A life where you set the rhythm, not rent, not insurance, not stress. Some call it moving abroad. But for many people it becomes their second life, a chance they thought they would never touch again. A new chapter that is only one small decision away. And now, there is only one question left. A question that is honest, sharp, and impossible to dodge. You don't need to be rich to live beautifully. You only need the courage to step one step outside the familiar whirlwind. So the real question isn't, can you? It's, do you dare? If this video touched you, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment so YouTube knows you want more content like this. Discover Globe Places. Top 10 is always here to show you the doors that life may have hidden from you. See you in the next chapter of your story.